Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, The Veldman Way. I'm bringing you another Cooking With Me Friday. I am so sorry, it's been so long since I've done one of these videos. The holidays with like Thanksgiving and then we were on vacation. It's just been a crazy month, but I'm getting back into the swing of things and I'm going to continue to bring you a brand new recipe every week. Today I am making meatball subs. Now I've never made this recipe before and there's a little bit of backstory on this. When we were on our cruise last week, or I guess 2 weeks ago now, one of the things my husband had on the ship was a meatball sandwich, and he said it was the best thing that he had on the ship, and I'll agree with him, it was really, really good. So I thought I would try to make one myself to remind us of the beautiful cruise that we were on in 80-degree weather, because it's definitely not that anymore around here. So I'm going to show you guys the ingredients, and let's hope this is as easy as the recipe says it is. So let's get started. Okay, and here are the ingredients for our meatball subs. You're going to need 1 egg. Now the recipe calls for onion powder. I thought I had onion powder, but it turns out what I have is onion salt. So we'll just see how that works. Let's see what else we got here. We have basil leaves. There we go, basil leaves. Some oregano, some Italian style breadcrumbs, some pepper, some garlic. Now I'm going to do it a little bit different in the recipe. Well, you'll see, but I'm going to use garlic. And then you're going to need a pound of ground beef, some butter, some finely shredded mozzarella cheese, some grated Parmesan cheese, some marinara sauce or traditional pasta sauce. You just don't want it to have meat is what the recipe said. So I just got plain marinara, some sub buns. These are super sub buns. These things are huge. So we will be freezing a lot of these, but we'll see how that goes. And then some garlic powder. So let's get started. Going to start off with a large bowl and mix together the ground beef, the Italian breadcrumbs, some Parmesan cheese, egg, oregano, basil, onion powder, garlic powder, salt, and pepper. As you can see, I'm not measuring out all the spices. I usually just eyeball it. I know some people like to be very precise. I'm not one of them. I like to just make it as quick as possible. I also skipped the salt because I'm using onion salt instead of onion powder because that's what I have on hand, and I didn't want the meatballs to be too salty. And as you can see, I had an issue with the pepper. I thought that I had the big thing kind of closed with my hand, and unfortunately I didn't. So I was only supposed to put like I think a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper in here, and that was a fail. So here I am just trying to scoop out as much of it as possible. Sometimes, things go wrong and you just have to improvise. Once you get all the ingredients in the bowl, you're going to mix them all together. But as you can see, I was having a hard time doing that with a spoon. So sometimes desperate times call for desperate measures, and you just got to get your hands in there and get dirty. This made it a lot easier and a lot quicker. In the notes of the recipe, it said that if you wanted to add a little bit of extra flavor, you can melt some butter and garlic and spread that over the rolls before you put it into the broiler. So I decided to try that. I took about 2 tablespoons of butter and popped that in the microwave to melt. While the butter is melting in the microwave, I am taking my meat mixture and rolling them into small meatballs. Now the recipe says to roll them into 1-inch balls. I accidentally made them a little bit bigger. I'm not really sure what 1 inch looks like, so I eyeballed it and I was a little bit wrong. They were a little bit too big. So make them a little bit smaller when you make it yourself. That way you can fit more on your meatball subs. Now that the butter is all melted, you're going to add some garlic in there. I added a little bit less than half a tablespoon. So you can add as little or as much garlic as you want, depending on how much you love garlic. We love garlic in this house, so I added a lot. And then you're going to take your sub rolls and place them on a cookie sheet. And you're going to spread the garlic butter evenly on all sides of the sub rolls. Now, I think I may have added a little bit too much because they came out just a little bit soggy. So just make sure you're careful as far as how much of this butter you do put on there. Next time I make this, I'll do a little bit less because the bottoms of the subs, after they were cooked, were just a little bit too soggy for my liking. Once you get your meat mixture into the balls, you can add them to your skillet. Now, I used my cast iron skillet, and you're going to brown each side. As you can see, it didn't work as well. It was sticking really bad to the bottom. So I think next time I make these, I'll use a non-stick pan. Might be a little bit easier. You can also bake them instead of cooking them over the stovetop. But since I was using my oven for the broiler to toast the rolls, and then also once you put this all together, you're going to cook them in the broiler for a few minutes. I thought it was just easier to cook them over the stovetop instead of switching my oven back and forth between broiler and oven. Once your meatballs are all brown on all sides, you're going to add your marinara sauce to the skillet. Now, I ended up only taking half of my meat mixture and making them into meatballs because we were only making 2 sandwiches instead of 4. And then I froze the other half of the meat mixture so I could make this again at a later date. But I didn't think of that when I was putting the marinara sauce in, and I ended up putting the full 2 cups in instead of cutting that in half to 1 cup. So if you're only making half of the mixture, make sure you're only putting 1 cup in instead of 2. but who can have too much marinara sauce, am I right? Then you're going to cover this and let this simmer for about 15 minutes. And while that's simmering, you're going to add your sub rolls into the broiler to let them toast a little bit. Now, I cannot stress enough to keep a very, very, very close eye on this, because the first round of sub sandwiches I put in here, I ended up burning because I let them in too long. It went from totally fine to burnt very, very quickly. So this time around, I left them in for about 3 minutes, but I could have added them, kept them in a little bit longer. Probably another 30 seconds to a minute. So just make sure you're keeping a very, very close eye on it. Then you're going to add some shredded mozzarella cheese to the bottom of the sub rolls. And then you're going to add your meatballs. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I accidentally made these a little bit too big. The recipe says that you can add 5 meatballs to each sub sandwich, but because I made them a little bit bigger, I could only add 4. I know it doesn't really make that big of a difference, but I had 2 meatballs left over that, I could have had that left for the mixture that I froze. So just make sure you don't make them too big so you're not wasting any of the precious ground beef, because we all know how expensive meat is these days. Once you have the meatballs on the subs, you're going to top this with some additional mozzarella cheese. Now, I never, ever follow a recipe when it comes to the amount of cheese you're supposed to put on something, because as you've seen in my other cooking videos, I love cheese, so the more cheese, the better. So you're going to add as much mozzarella as you want, and then sprinkle it with a little bit of extra grated Parmesan cheese, because, like I said, you can never have it too much cheese, especially when it comes to Italian food. Then you're going to pop these in the broiler for a few minutes. Again, keep a very close eye on it. I had these in there for about 5 minutes or so. Again, I probably could have had them in there a little bit longer, but I was so afraid of burning it and having to start all over. So trial and error. I'm not the best at broiling. I don't use it very often, so I never really know how long to keep something in there. But these turned out fantastic. They are just packed with just tons of meat and marinara sauce and cheese, and they just look so delicious, and the house smelled amazing.
Smells really good.
All right, take the first bite.
No, it's really good.
Is it good?
Mm-hmm.
Is it as good as the chip?
Second best one I've ever had.
Second best one you've ever had. I'll take it. I mean, they're professionals, and it's always better eating it in 80-degree weather than 20-degree weather.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm gonna guess that the 20-degree weather meatball subs are probably better.
You think they're better?
Because you just said it's second better.
All right, well.
Second best one.
Second best.
All right, well, at least we got it good, so that's good, because he's difficult.
Mine is my
eat
pizza is very good.
All right, well, you heard it. Good recipe. I can't wait to try it. Thanks, everyone. And
Manja.
Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss more videos. And also comment, what other foods do you want to see us make on Fridays or Sundays? Comment down below.
That's a good one.